G'day guys, Shay here from Incolour Productions. I'm here with Steve Petit and he's is a professional photographer. This is actually episode 2 of Ask an Expert. You've been a photographer now for what, 15 years, dealing with all things sport, portraiture, fashion.
Yeah.
Bit of everything. So you know your stuff. But the big question, I get it a little bit, but I reckon you get more, is for people just starting out in the industry is what kind of equipment should I buy, or what camera should I buy to get going?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, it's one of the biggest questions that we get asked. I guess there's no real one simple way to answer that question. A lot of the times it comes down to what they've already got, what they're used to using, where they want to go, what's the purpose of the photography. But I'd simply ask the person which camera they have now. And I can pretty much guarantee you that even if you just have a smartphone, that you wouldn't be using, unless you've done some courses and things like that, that you're not going to be using the capabilities of those cameras to their full extent. So the cameras in the smartphones these days, they're very good. They can capture a lot. The dynamic range on the cameras is pretty good.
So is that a good place to start? Just get your smartphone out and start shooting with that.
Yeah. One of the biggest things about photography, and this is one of my little bugbears, I suppose, is everyone talks about editing and changing photos and things like that. Processing a photo is part of photography for 100 years. The ability of the camera to capture what our eye sees there's a big difference between what we see and what the camera sees. So my job as a photographer when it comes to processing all my images is to try and get my photos back to what it was when I saw it. So you even need to do that when you're taking photos with your smartphones. And there's endless apps that you can use these days to sort of get the photo back to what it was. And it's, enhancing color or, improving the contrast between the images and things like that. Okay. So that's, it's a big question, but, I guess everyone says, so what do you buy, Canon or Nikon? It's not about that, it's about what you've got, what you want to do. All of the cameras, smartphones, DSLR, everything is very capable these days of taking great photos.
Cool. Okay. And like, even if you're lining up a shot with a smartphone or a Canon or a Nikon, what should you be looking for through the lens, like composition-wise?
Yeah, so you're right, Shay. Composition's a very important part. And some of that comes down to creativity. Some of that comes down to laws of photography. So we talk about the rule of thirds and where you position things. One of the things that I always try and look at when I first approach to take a photograph is to answer the question, why am I taking it? What's the subject? What's the secondary subject? What am I trying to say? So, you can stand there and take a photograph of a mountainside and, it's got a few clouds and things like that in the background and things. But just like a story, a photograph needs to have a subject. So you need to work out, what are you trying to say? What's the subject? The subject's not going to be the mountains. The subject might be the tree or the hill or the person, so it's a composition is a big part of every single photograph.
Okay. And we were just talking off camera before about like technique versus like 25% is the camera, and 75% is the actual shooter. Is that can you expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah, it is very true. And I could give you the equipment that I have, and you can give me your phone. And because of the experience that I have, I would bet that my photo would end up being a better photo than what someone else takes that doesn't have the experience, even though they're using the better equipment. So, everyone talks about body and lenses and, then there's ability and composition, all that kind of stuff. The body that you have is going to be 10% of the photo. The lens that you have is going to be 15% of the photo. The rest of it is a combination of the person behind the camera, a little bit of luck, a little bit of timing.
Yep.
So, if you take a photograph of, the last hug that grandma and grandson have together, then it's going to be a great photo, even if it's not technically a good photo. Mm-hmm. And so timing is a big thing. So that comes down to subject and it comes down to preparation and things like that. So the equipment is just a very small part of it, particularly these days.
Very cool. Steve, thanks for your wealth of knowledge today. And that's it for episode 2.